My husband just had a funeral. While sorting through his stuff, I found an old phone. Then I got a call from myself 30 years in the future. She told me, my husband didn't really die by accident. He faked his own death, just to run off with another woman. She also said I'd waste half my life over this, and that my mom would end up getting killed because of it. Half believing it, I followed the clues to a secret villa. And there I saw my supposed dead husband cozying up with his lover. Right then, every last illusion shattered for good. I swore I wouldn't let that future happen again. And I started fighting back, step by step. My husband died unexpectedly. While going through his stuff, I found an old phone. It was a gift he gave me back in high school with his first paycheck. Just as I was about to put it away, that old phone, which had been off for years, suddenly rang in the middle of the night. I froze. I answered, and a familiar but aged voice came through. Jig Shui. I'm you from 30 years in the future. Jinzhou Dao is faking his death. He did it to be with a girl named Jili. I thought I misheard. What are you talking about? But my hands and feet went ice cold. I was shocked because I watched him get buried with my own eyes. He kept going. You have to believe me. Remember this. In a month, he'll show up. This time don't fall for his lies again. You wasted half your life on him, and he's been lying to you for half your life. Even your mom will get killed. I was completely stiff. My face turned pale. How am I supposed to believe you? There was 2 seconds of silence on the other end. Villa number 9 on Wutong Road. Go there right now, and you'll see Jinzhou Dao alive again. I didn't move. I didn't hang up either. Instead, I steadied the tremor in my voice. I kept asking, what did you just mean when you said my mom gets killed? On the other end, Jig Shui's breathing got heavy. When she spoke again, there was not only sobbing, but also pure hatred. Based on the timeline, you should already be pregnant by now. With this son, who after he's born, just like Jinzhou Dao, will really like that Shili. When he was born, his mom took care of everything. At one parent-teacher meeting, Mom saw Shili and Jinzhou Dao being close together. She paused for a moment, holding back her emotions. To protect Jili, your son, pushed your mom straight into the road. She got hit by a big truck on the spot. I gasped and gripped the phone tight. My vision went dark instantly. Then how do you know the truth about Jinzhou Dao faking his death? He took a deep breath. Because in my timeline, Jinzhou Dao has already died. In a car accident. He let out a bitter laugh. He died on his way to find that woman Shili. He hesitated for a moment. Maybe his conscience hit him before he died. Told me the truth that had been hidden from me for 30 years. I instinctively tightened my grip on the phone. All right. Got it. After hanging up, I felt like I'd seen that villa at 9 Wutong Road somewhere before. I stood up abruptly. Rushed to Jinzhou Dao's study. Found the safe password was my birthday. Not just the safe password. His phone password was also my fingerprint. So all these years, I never thought Jinzhou Dao would betray me. Opened it and pulled out stacks of property deeds. In my chaos, Wutong Road quickly led me to the property deed buried at the very bottom. Address, 9 Wutong Road. Purchaser, Jinzhou Dao. Owner, Shili. Bang. I lost all strength. Collapsed next to the desk, knocking over the photo of me and Jinzhou Dao on it. It's true. My heart kept sinking. Everything future Jixia said was true. The name Shili on top made my eyes sting red. Snapping back to reality, I grabbed the car keys and ran out. An hour later, the car stopped not far from the villa at 9 Wutong Road. Cold sweat from my palms soaked the steering wheel. Soon after, 2 intimate figures appeared in the rearview mirror. One of them was my husband, who should be in a coffin right now. He was holding hands with Shili, fingers intertwined, carrying shopping bags and vegetables. Like they were a deeply in love couple. Zhou Dao, you faked your death to find me. How are you going to show up after a month? Can't just tell Jixia you came back from the dead, right? Shili looked up and asked. Jinzhou Dao smiled lightly. Said casually, I'll tell him faking my death was a temporary measure. It was because of the family infighting. My uncle wanted to kill me. He looked totally sure. Anyway, it's a fact that my uncle wanted me dead. Besides, Jixia is naive. He'll believe whatever I say. Shili giggled. Then acted cute. Can't you just be with me outright? Jinzhou Dao shook his head helplessly. After all, the Jin group is still there. Be good. We can have kids. From now on, I'll come see you 3 times a week. Their figures passed by my car, then walked further and further away. I couldn't stop shaking. Tears were falling onto my hands. Just then, my phone rang. It snapped me back from the edge of breaking down. 2 hours had passed. You should have seen the future, Jixue said. But you can't expose him right now. I choked back my sobs. And asked, stunned. Why? He let out a cold laugh. Like it was absurd. But I could hear the self-mockery and bitterness in his laughter. After Jin Chaodao died in this timeline, half his money went to his son, and the other half to Zhili and his kid. You stayed with him for 40 years, and ended up with nothing. Along with the ding, came a photo. Even though it was blurry, I recognized it right away. It was Jin Chaodao himself. The biggest regret of my life was that I never gave Zhili a proper title. I let him down his whole life. So, Jixue, I'm sorry. I have to make it up to him. And you had me for a lifetime. You got that marriage certificate. You don't need anything else. My breath was shaking. I stared at my phone, like I could punch a hole through that letter. I closed my eyes for a second. He paused on the other end. Because of that kid. That's why you so easily forgave Jin Chaodao for faking his death. And bought into the story he made up. I gripped my phone tight. Fine. Then let's deal with him first. After hanging up, I went to the hospital. The doctor showed me the report. Congratulations, you're 6 weeks pregnant. My throat felt dry. Please schedule an abortion for me. When I woke up, it was already the next morning. I called Jixue right away. He picked up too. Before I could even ask, his voice came through, crying with joy. Mom's alive. When my heart stopped, the baby was gone. Mom dying because of him no longer holds up. The chain reaction from the butterfly effect played out in the future. He said, choking up. You must have miscarried around 4 yesterday afternoon, right? At that moment I also felt dizzy. When I woke up, Mom was alive. Thank you, Jixue. I let out a sigh of relief. My nose feeling a bit tingly too. I am you. The person I'm saving is also my mother. I should be the one thanking you. We both fell silent. After a moment of quiet I asked, not exposing Jin Chaodao, do you have a plan? He grunted in acknowledgement. Get the shares of the Jin group. You're Jin Chaodao's legal wife. If he dies, you're the first heir. I have a few doubts though. But Jin Chaodao faked his death. How do we get a death certificate? His laugh carried a calm and steady tone. Go see Assistant Lee. He's Jin Chaodao's trusted man. He was in on the fake death from start to finish. He'll help you to cover for Jin Chaodao. After all, the Jin group is a big deal. Getting a death certificate through connections is the easiest thing in the world. I nodded. I understand. Following the way future Jixue would act, I went to Assistant Lee. He looked shocked at first, then made an excuse to leave for a few minutes. I quietly followed him. President Jin. He called Jin Chaodao. Madam came to see me. He told me to. The room was very quiet. I could hear Jin Chaodao's voice too. He cut off his assistant. I've told you about everything that's happened. Handle it all. My personal seal is with you too. Just make sure you hide the fake death from Jixue. She's naive anyway. Then he hung up. The assistant pressed his lips together. When he came back sure enough to do me a favor, he helped me finish the stock transfer contract. In the parking lot, after doing all this, I slumped in my seat dazed. Knave just means easy to fool. Right now, I can't bear to think about all the moments I once thought were sweet. It's all mixed with lies. I remember when we first got together. On rainy days he would carry me on his back. He wouldn't let my shoes and socks get wet. When I had cramps, he'd stay up all night. He'd still change my hot water bottle and rub my belly. In high school, when I couldn't solve a physics problem, he'd call me dumb, but then break it down step by step until I got it. I lived out in the boonies. After evening study sessions, there was always this comforting figure waiting for me. Give me a ride home. But now that guy Jin Chaodao, who used to call me naive and easy to fool, has completely shattered the Jin Chaodao I once knew. I closed my eyes. suppressing the overwhelming feeling of suffocation. I drove to the villa at 9 Wutong Road. Through the fence, I saw Shi Li sitting on the garden swing, enjoying the evening breeze. Jin Zhoudao was slowly pushing him from behind. A gentle breeze blew, making it a particularly peaceful and beautiful scene. If only that man weren't my husband. The swing. I clenched my fist, my palm hurting. Actually, there was one at home too. Jin Zhoudao built it with his own hands. It just hit me now that his love was always in duplicate. I took a deep breath, then pushed open the car door and walked over to them. The air froze in an instant. Shi Li's eyes widened. Jin Zhoudao's face went pale. I let out a laugh. What a coincidence running into you here. Jin Zhoudao's hand pushing the swing instantly let go. Even his voice trembled, full of shock. Ji Xie. He hurried over and grabbed my arm. Let me explain. I held back my emotions. You're going to say your uncle was hunting you down for the family fortune? So you had no choice but to fake your death, right? He choked up, suddenly stunned for a moment. After a long pause he said, that's exactly it. Once I deal with my uncle, I would have come to explain everything to you. I just stared at him quietly, still racking his brain to trick me. My heart kept sinking. When I raised my hand and it landed on Jin Zhoudao's face, it startled Shi Li. He shoved me away, rubbing the man's slightly swollen cheek, full of concern. Zhoudao, are you okay? Then he glared at me, eyes red. It's not that big of a deal. And you didn't lose anything. Why make such a fuss? When Jin Zhoudao saw how upset I looked, he immediately pulled Shi Li behind him to protect him, afraid he might get hurt. He pressed his lips together, his brows furrowed. Fully defensive, he said I was wrong. But it really was just a power struggle within the family. Besides, Shi Li is right. You haven't lost anything. What do you mean nothing? My back went stiff. A grief I couldn't put into words welled up in my chest. So my feelings mean absolutely nothing to you, right? 2 days ago when I got the news of his accidental death, I could barely stand. I only made it to the hospital with Assistant Lai's help. Seeing his body under the white sheet, my heart felt like it was tearing apart. The whole hallway echoed with my heart-wrenching sobs. But now he's saying I haven't lost anything. Staring at Jin Zhoudao, I gritted my teeth and asked, were you lying there in that hospital bed, listening to me cry, and just dying to laugh? His eyes twitched. No. You were laughing with Shi Li while I ran around like a fool, then watched me make a joke of myself, right? Ji Xue, he snapped, his face darkening. Don't be unreasonable. Looking at his impatient face, my heart was pierced with a sudden stab of pain. After 3 seconds of us staring each other down, I spoke. Then let's get a divorce. And I turned and walked away. In the car, I called future Ji Xue. Hearing my choked voice, he sighed. He's not worth it. I pulled myself together. Any changes in the future? No. I didn't. Didn't you already get the shares of Jin Group? He paused for a moment. The pain and laughter transfer takes time. Usually about 3 days. Keep him busy for these 3 days. And don't let him contact Assistant Li. I nodded in agreement. After hesitating for a second I asked, Future, is he still involved with Shi Li? Yes. It's not over. I let out a bitter laugh. That last shred of hope just shattered. Even now, at this point, he's still keeping that ugly relationship with Shi Li alive. And I finally realized, no matter what happens, Shi Li will always come first for him. Since it's not over, then he can die. I hung up and went home. Jin Zhoudao came back right after me. He grabbed my arm. Let's talk. What do you mean by divorce? I pulled away, wiped my hands with a disinfectant wipe. Literally. Can't you understand? Seeing my disgusted move, Jin Zhoudao's face turned ugly. His hand froze in midair. You're gonna be like this? It's just a fake death. I came back to you now, didn't I? Why bother? I felt a little sick. What about Zili then? He paused for a second. Quickly tried to clear Zili's name. Defended him in every word. It's not his fault. He didn't know anything. I looked at him with pure sarcasm. So, I'll just let you two be together. Jin Zhoudao's patience was running out. Then what do you want me to do? I was about to say we're done, when I suddenly remembered what future Jikshui told me. 3 days. I also consulted a lawyer. It takes 3 days for the contract to go through the process. At least for these 3 days, I couldn't let Jinjodao catch on. So I clenched my fist and looked at him. Come on a trip with me for 3 days. Hand over your phone. No contacting Shili. He thought for a moment. Fine. Let me just tell him first. So he doesn't worry. After 3 days, this is over. He didn't even wait for me to reply. Walked to the balcony and called Shili. His voice was as gentle as it used to be with me. But I hadn't heard that in a long time. After that he turned off his phone. Naturally lost contact with Assistant Lee. Before leaving, I put the signed divorce papers on the nightstand. I didn't take him far. Instead, I deliberately revisited the places we'd been to together. First day we went to Mount Amay, where we went on a school trip in high school. He was a bit impatient. Walking fast. I called him over. So stopped at the exact same spot from back then. Take a picture here. Do you remember? He paused. Zone out as something hit him. Yeah. After clicking the shutter we set off. He still didn't walk fast. He even grabbed my arm. Like high school he mocked my scrawny arms and legs, laughing. Afraid I'd break if he tugged too hard. And we were going hiking. Just like back then I massaged you all night. I looked closely at the changes he hadn't noticed in himself. I smiled and stayed quiet. His eyes were still cold. The next day we went to the rose garden where we took wedding photos. The roses he ordered to be planted back then are now a scenic spot. Remember this place? His gaze softened. I do. When we took wedding photos you said roses are lovers. Yeah. Right after he said that he crouched down. He personally pulled out all those rose thorns by hand. Both his fingers were full of tiny cuts. Then he told me he'd protect me forever. Would never let anything hurt me. I stayed calm, expressionless. I pulled myself out of the memory. But he seemed lost in it. Even his lips curled into a smile. A flicker of sarcasm crossed my mind. Jinjodao said, back then didn't you want to shoot the superhero wedding dress photos? Want to do it now? I can have someone send you a set right away. I shook my head. No need. Did you forget? None of us can contact the outside world for these 3 days. He pursed his lips and fell silent, looking a little disappointed. He subconsciously reached for my hand. I didn't hold back. It disgusted me. On the 3rd day I took him to the cemetery. There was a double grave he bought here. Back when he loved me the most, he said we'd never be apart even in death. But now, for the sake of ritual, he tricked me into thinking he died. Remember here. He pressed his lips together, pursing them, and hummed softly in acknowledgement. Then I pointed at the new tombstone next to it. That one is you. Dead, I set it up myself. There's my nail blood on it. Because I couldn't believe you were dead. So I refused to bury you in the double grave. Jinjodao's breath caught. He looked over instantly. The fake death was all handled by Assistant Lee. He didn't even know where the grave was. His eyes trembled. The tombstone had his name carved on it, Li Feng. There really was blood. Jinjodao turned his head to look at me. His voice was a little hoarse. Jigshui. I raised my hand to cut him off. 3. Time's up. Go back. He wanted to pull me in, but he kept his distance. All he could do was watch me walk away, lost in thought. Jishui called from the future. The contract was in effect. I let out a sigh of relief and took Mom straight to the airport. Meanwhile, Jinjodao got home feeling a bit off. Staring at the empty mansion, a strange panic crept over him. He walked into the bedroom on instinct, but his gaze froze. The desk was empty. The closet was empty too. Jinjodao's heart skipped a beat. He grabbed a servant in a panic, his voice trembling. Where's the madam? The servant was startled and quickly replied, Madam. She never came back. He felt like he couldn't breathe. He quickly pulled out his phone to call Jishui, but found his phone was off. Just then, Grandpa's call came in. As soon as he picked up, the old man roared, You can't even keep track of a woman. Jishui has already gone abroad. Jinjodao's pupils shrank. He was about to speak when Grandpa's voice turned heavy again, and she took all the company shares with her. Jinjodao sat up from the couch, his fingers scrolling faster and faster. his breathing getting more and more ragged. Over at his assistant's, President Jin, I need to confirm with you again. Do you really want to transfer the shares to your wife? President Jin, if he sees the message, have him contact me right away. There are 2 days left until the lawyer's contract takes effect. President Jin, the 3 days are up. Your shares have been transferred to your wife. His eyes widened. What share transfer? How did he not know anything about this? Over at the board, President Jin, what's going on with the share transfer? Please give the board a reasonable explanation. Over at Grandpa's, Jin Dao, you ungrateful brat, get your ass back to the old house now. How dare he secretly transfer the group shares to a woman? Reading through them one by one, Jin Dao finally figured out one thing. Jixue told Assistant Li to use his personal seal to transfer all of Jin Group shares. He almost instinctively called Jixue. But after 3 rings, all he got was Jixue's cold voicemail. Even after 30 tries it was the same. Jin Dao was stunned. He couldn't believe Jixue would do something like this. Besides, he just didn't have the scheming or the depth for it. But now he had to go back to the old mansion. An hour later, Jin Dao stood in the center of the old mansion's hall, with a wound on his head from where old man Jin hit him with a teacup. And it was bleeding. His hair was gray, but his eyes were sharp as hell. He was breathing hard with anger, and his cane stomped the floor so loud it shook the place. How dare you? Fooling around with some other woman. Handing over the shares. Jin Dao, what other surprises do you have for me? This is outrageous. The Jin Group is a century-old legacy of our family, and now because of your stupid crap, it's been handed over to someone else. The old man clutched his chest, looking like he was about to die of anger. Jin Dao was startled. So he quickly grabbed the old man's blood pressure meds and gave them to him, rubbing his back to help him calm down. His own face went a little pale too. I didn't expect Jixue to do this either. He paused for a second. But Grandpa, you don't have to worry. Jixue and I are married. Even if he doesn't punish me, once I sweet-talk him, I can just get the shares back. The old man closed his eyes, and his tone softened a bit. He'll actually give them back to you? Jin Dao had calmed down too, and spoke with certainty. Yes. No one knows Jixue better than me after all these years. Besides, I've only done this one thing that made him mad. As long as I apologize properly, he'll forgive me. The old man thought it over for a moment, his hands still shaking. I'll give you one chance. Just get the shares back as soon as possible. Jin Dao left the old mansion. Just as he was about to head home, he got a call from Zhili. Dao was. The man about to get in the car froze. His hands instantly tightened on the steering wheel. There was no joy in his voice at all. What do you mean pregnant? Zhili didn't catch the wrong tone in his voice. She was still excited. Yeah. Now we can finally have our own kid. Jin Dao slumped back in his seat, lost in thought. But he couldn't help recalling the warmth of the old days that Jixue had taken him back to during those 3 days. All those beautiful memories and feelings deep inside, they were all surging in his heart. Now hearing that Zhili was pregnant, his first reaction wasn't happiness. It was guilt. Guilt toward Jixue. The man closed his eyes. Staring at Jixue's number in his phone, still not going through, he drove to number 9 Wutong Road, and made a decision. Not long after, the villa echoed with Zhili's heart-wrenching sobs. Jin Dao, this is your own flesh and blood. How can you ask me to abort him? Jin Dao calmly watched the hysterical woman in front of him. Suddenly a wave of irritation rose in his heart. His voice unconsciously turned much colder. Zhili, things are different now. Jixue took the shares. Do you think if he finds out you're pregnant, he'll ever forgive me? Or give me back the shares? Zhili was stunned for a second. The shares are gone. The man nodded. He looked at Zhili and stayed silent. He only told half the truth. At that moment, what scared him most wasn't even the shares. It was that if Jixue found out, he would never forgive him. Jin Dao himself was surprised. He had always thought that over the years, his feelings for Jixue had mostly faded. But now the panic deep inside told him, no, they hadn't faded at all. They had only grown stronger. As for Zhili, his mind was completely on the shares. He was madly in love with Jin Dao. But without shares in the Jin group, how could he give her a happy life? She wanted to live in a big villa, buy the most expensive custom clothes. All that took money, not just love. Anyway, since the kid's gone, you can just get pregnant again. In just 1 minute, Shi Li had already made a quick decision. Both of them had their own stuff going on in their heads. He lifted his head, tears welling up in his eyes. Fine. To help you out, I'm willing to sacrifice this child. When Jin Dao heard this, he wasn't moved at all. He knew exactly what kind of person Shi Li was. Even at the end he wanted to use his guilt. After she got an abortion, he didn't stay with her at the hospital. Instead he went straight home. It was already past midnight. Jixue should have been home by then. He floored the gas pedal, but when he pushed open the door, all that greeted him was the silence and darkness of the house. He rushed back to the bedroom, but Jixue wasn't there. And then his eyes suddenly landed on a piece of white paper on the nightstand. In that moment, all of Jin Dao's thoughts froze. A sense of panic he'd never felt before rose in his heart. He stood there frozen, a little scared. Scared that it really was what he thought it was. After who knows how long, so long that his legs had gone numb, he finally forced himself to move over. He looked down at the document on the nightstand. The divorce papers. Bam! His pupils instantly shrank. A ringing sound filled his ears. He slowly picked it up and opened it. The last page already had Jixue's name signed in a wild sweeping cursive. The pen strokes. He didn't hesitate at all. He stared hard at the words divorce agreement, like he was trying to burn a hole through it. Fear. The only thing Jin Dao felt was fear. He'd never even panicked this much when Jixue transferred his shares away. He'd always thought Jixue couldn't live without him. So even when he got caught messing around with Zili, he didn't freak out at all. Because he was that confident. From high school till now, only he knew how much Jixue loved him. So he was sure of it. But now Jin Dao suddenly realized, it wasn't just Jixue's intense feelings for him. He couldn't live without Jixue either. He thought they had hit the 7-year itch, that they were an old boring couple, with no real feelings left. Just going through the motions. But now, with the divorce agreement right in front of him, all that certainty and arrogance was shattered. He loved Jixue so much. Jin Dao closed his eyes. His chest felt so tight he could barely breathe. So he called Jixue all night, and sat there in a daze the whole night too. The next day he had dark circles, and his eyes were bloodshot. When he got to the office, his assistant was startled. Jin Dao looked at him. Tell me exactly what happened when you transferred the shares for Madam. The assistant immediately got serious, and told him everything from that day. Jin Dao tapped his fingers on the table non-stop. Something was way off. That didn't seem like the Jixue he remembered at all. Right after finding out he faked his death and hooked up with Zili, she calmly transferred the shares. Even if she didn't have a good cry in private, from what he knew, she'd at least shut herself away. But now he couldn't even find Jixue. No way to check either. The assistant handed back Jin Dao's personal seal. Feeling a bit nervous. Luckily, Jin Dao just waved him off. He went to the board meeting to face the grilling. Under the combined attack from Zili and the directors, the man stayed calm. He only said, I'll find Jixue. There's no way we're getting divorced. We're still married, and the shares are still part of the Jin family. Then he just turned and walked out. Meanwhile, Zili at the hospital couldn't shake a feeling of dread. 2 days had passed. That man who loved him so much, he even faked his own death to trick his wife. Just to be with him. Hasn't come to see him in 2 days. He won't answer his calls. He won't reply to his texts. It's like he vanished off the face of the earth. He couldn't help but clench his teeth. He couldn't just sit around and wait. He went to find Jin Dao. Better get some compensation out of him. He arrived at Jin Dao and Jixue's wedding home. Looking at this estate that was at least 5 times bigger than his villa on Wutong Road, he was insanely jealous. All this should have been his. He just punched in the code. Back when he used to sneak over for their affair, Jin Dao had given him the door code. Once inside, a strong smell of smoke hit him in the face. It was so strong Zili bent over and coughed a couple of times. He slowly walked further inside. Zhou Dao. Zhou Dao, you home? There were no servants in the villa. Not a single sound. Just as he was about to leave, he suddenly spotted that pathetic man slumped on the sofa. Zhou Dao. He walked closer, and only then saw the floor covered in bottles and piles of cigarette butts. In his memory, the flawless Jin Zhou Dao was now a mess with hair and stubble, sitting there like a wreck. What are you doing here? The moment he spoke, his voice was so hoarse it sounded pathetic. Zili suppressed his discomfort. Zhou Dao, what happened to you? Still worried about the stock thing? Don't worry about it. No matter what you do, Jixue will always forgive you. Jin Zhou Dao was stunned for a moment, then gave a bitter smile. Really? I thought so too. Then he held up his phone, showing him over 200 missed calls, but I can't find him anywhere. Zili was dumbfounded, but then he also saw the divorce papers at his side. His eyes suddenly lit up with excitement. Jixue wants a divorce. He didn't notice how the man's face instantly went stiff, and kept talking to himself. Well, in that case, after you get the shares back, just go ahead and divorce. Zhou Dao, marry me. We'll be together forever. Before he finished speaking, Zili was shoved by the man in front of him. His voice was hoarse. Get out. I'll never divorce Jixue in this lifetime. Zili was completely stunned. Seeing Jin Zhou Dao's cruel look, tears instantly fell. He left the villa crying. Inside the wedding villa, Jin Zhou Dao sat motionless, completely lost. Seasons came and went. Another year passed. To me, time was just sunrise and sunset, tied in and tied out. 5 years flew by in a flash. Maybe the future had already changed. My phone completely died. I never got any more messages from future Jixue. The last one was from the night I landed in America. He said everything had changed here in Jixue. Mom was alive and well, and in the future, you'll meet someone who loves you wholeheartedly. Then my phone sizzled, and it never turned on again. I didn't doubt his words at all. But I didn't actively wait for that person who'd love me wholeheartedly, yet fate had already decided my life's direction long ago. 2 years ago, an unprecedented riot broke out in downtown Luoshan city center. An armed man was ruthlessly shooting at everything around him, and I happened to be downtown negotiating a deal. Naturally, I was trapped, taken hostage. In the first 29 years of my life, I'd never been as close to death as that day. The terrorist grabbed my hair, dragged me out of the crowd, and used me, a foreigner, as leverage. I felt like my scalp was being ripped off. The pain was unbearable. I couldn't stop the tears from falling. That same day, when I was at my most helpless, Fu Yan appeared. As a special police officer on leave, he happened to be trapped in the terrorists' hostage pile too. When the terrorist was using me to negotiate with the police, Fu Yan suddenly charged from behind, and in just a few moments, he pinned that big guy to the ground. After the big guy was taken away by the police, Fu Yan came over and draped his coat over me. It's okay. Don't be scared. What are you thinking about? Fu Yan held me from behind, pulling me out of my memories. I let out a chuckle. Thinking back to that first day we met, I must have looked really ugly crying. He chuckled lightly, pretending to think hard and look serious. That's true. With so many people that day, you were the only one crying so hard your eyelashes stuck to your face. I froze for a second. Fu Yan. He was laughing so hard his chest shook, and he wrapped his arms tight around me. I'm sorry. That day you were the most pitiful one. No wonder you got caught so easily. I let out a couple of humps. Right then, Mom knocked on the door. You two really are hands-off parents. The baby's crying, and you don't even care. Fu Yan told me to sit tight, and I nodded. Over the years, all the matters of the Jing group, I've had a professional manager handle everything for me. The annual dividends are a huge fortune. And Jin Zhou Dao. It's been a long time since I heard that name. Until that day, on the way home from grocery shopping with Fu Yan, when I saw a figure standing under the dim streetlight with red-rimmed eyes, all those memories came flooding back. Jin Zhou Dao's gaze landed on our clasped hands, mine and Fu Yan's, and his pupils trembled for a moment. Who is he? I just stared at him calmly, and the electric sparks between two equally outstanding men crackled and burst. My husband Jin Jodao looked stunned, and muttered absent-mindedly, "Husband? Ji sure? I never signed the divorce papers. You are still my wife." I felt nothing. Completely calm. "Well, you might have forgotten how I filed for separation for 2 years, and a forced divorce in court. That mess. You and I, whether in friendship or legally, are just strangers." Jin Judao's body swayed. The corners of his eyes instantly turned red. "Jikshui, do you really hate me that much?" I stayed quiet. I glanced at Fuyan. "You go home first. I'll talk to him. Don't worry, I'm fine. Make the sweet and sour pork ribs and wait for me." Fuyan pressed his lips together. He gave my hand a tight squeeze. And shot a warning, "Look at Jin Jodao." Now it was just the two of us left. I stared at him quietly. "You know how I suddenly found out you faked your death and lied to me?" Jin Jodao shook his head. That was something he'd never been able to figure out. Not many people knew about it. Him, Shili, Assistant Lee, the doctor he bribed, and a staff member from that purpose. 5 in total. Over the years he had ruled out each one. I smirked slightly. Probably sounds crazy, but I got a text message from the future. It told me the whole truth. Jin Jodao froze. What future? I opened my eyes wide. Yeah. Maybe even fate couldn't stand it anymore. How you were messing me around, right? So it told me the truth, and let me leave you. Right then, Jin Jodao just found it absurd. But he had no choice but to believe it. Other than that, he really couldn't think of any reason for his fake death to be exposed. Or for Jikshui, someone with no scheming bone in her body, to want to turn over a stake. Jin Jodao's breathing got a little heavy. He grabbed my hand tightly. "I'm sorry, Jikshui. I know I screwed up. I was just obsessed. I was a jerk who lied to you. I let down all the beautiful times we had." He lowered his head. His eyes looked so humble. "I've already cut off all ties with Jili. I sent him abroad. We're never gonna cross paths again. So I'm begging you to forgive me. Can you give me one more chance?" Forgive? I thought about the price my other self paid for forgiving him. She endured 30 years of deception. And I realized how disgusting the man in front of me was. Watching him bow his head, with red-rimmed eyes, I kept going. "Let me tell you one more thing. That other me forgave you. Guess what happened to me?" He froze. He asked without thinking. "What?" I sneered. "That other me forgave you for faking your death and lying to me. What she got was 30 years of you sneaking around with Celie behind her back. And we killed my mom. Because she liked that woman Celie just like you did. In the end, you died. And you left all your money to Celie. Because you felt guilty for not giving her a marriage. So tell me, why should I forgive you?" Jin Jodao's eyes were shaking. He couldn't say a single word to defend himself. Because that's exactly what he had planned all along. Seeing him like that, I felt sick. "Oh right. One more thing." He looked up, stunned. The corners of his eyes red. He asked nervously. "What?" "I was pregnant with your child. But the day I found out you faked your death and Cecily was lying to me, I already got rid of it. That thing that killed my mom. And ruined my life. It didn't deserve to live in this world." Jin Jodao's pupils shrank. His gaze involuntarily dropped to my stomach. He looked like he'd been struck by lightning. "We had a child." He lowered his head. Overwhelming regret kept gnawing at his heart, dragging him into an abyss of despair. How did this happen? His tears dripped onto the floor. And vanished instantly. "It's my fault. It's my karma." I gave him a disgusted look. "So don't show up in front of me anymore. You make me sick." He froze completely. I was about to turn and leave, when Fuyan came out carrying the baby. "Honey, let's go home. Mommy and baby are going home." All the strength in his body drained instantly. They are the cure for me. Holding both of them by the hand, he walked away without looking back. And Jin Jodao just stood there staring blankly, seeing such a perfect picture of a family of 3. He was crushed and lost in despair. He could have had this too. But he ruined it himself. He didn't get the company back. Family destroyed. Lost everything. That's what he gets. His karma. The end.